This is episode 3 of Cumming of Age. I'm Josie Herbert. We talked a lot about queer identities and experiences in most of my interviews. Yes, this is because most of my interview participants were found on Tinder, where I set up an account for this very purpose, and I set the profile to woman seeking women, thus queer people. One of the queer experiences I brought up in most of my interviews is how they realized they weren't straight.
When I was 15, I think, 14 or 15, like having a best friend who I made out with a lot.
By now you probably recognize MC's voice.
I had this one friend group who just kind of liked to kiss each other at like parties and stuff to draw attention, I guess. And I was actually like the only one who actually really enjoyed it. I kind of wanted to do it more often. And they were just like, oh, yeah, let's get drunk, blah, blah, blah. I had a huge crush on my best friend. I remember that. It's very inconvenient. I think she had a crush on me too, though. Like, she was kind of my experimental person. Never talked about it. It was so weird.
This was the time that caused MC's suspicions that she wasn't straight, but she wasn't completely sure that her bisexuality wasn't a passing phase.
Then I had sex with a lesbian. It was so different. Like, it was super slow, and I was feeling pretty guilty for her. She was like stroking my body for 15 minutes. Whoa, like, are your hands not sore? No, shut up. Continuing. And I do remember then I was like, whoa, I did not know that this was even possible. Like, just finger work is apparently like enough. Like, I'm pretty sure that she showed me my G-spot. Like, I knew that. I already thought I knew where it was. I could not be more wrong. I'm sure she would love to hear this story.
However, being certain in her bisexuality caused MC to question her long-term relationship with a man.
Definitely my first like real boyfriend, like living together kind of boyfriend. I noticed that I was really struggling with my sexuality, like being in a long-term relationship and not being able to kind of explore if I actually liked girls or if it was just hormones and stuff like that. So we're a sort of open relationship, and then I told him like, okay, I'm actually really into girls, more sexually than mentally. When that broke up, I kind of felt like, okay, I do like girls a lot.
Now she's in an open relationship with her long-term boyfriend, but he wasn't always on board with the idea of non-monogamy.
Got pretty serious, and then I told him like, okay, I don't mind getting serious, but I do feel like I still need to explore and like identify myself more. So I can't completely commit myself solitarily to you. So I can only go more serious if you kind of let me do my thing with girls. It will not conflict with the whole relationship. I'm completely sure about that. He found that a wee bit hard, but completely understood. I explained it as going on a holiday. Like, if you're here, like, it's nice in Holland, I'm very happy with it. But at some point, it's just chill to experience something different, completely different, by yourself, doing it for yourself. But there's nothing as coming home.
Jamie told me about their story of self-recognition from the pages of the puberty book their mother had given them. Do you remember what the book was called?
Yes, it was called What's Happening to Me.
Huh.
And it's like a flat book with a bright pink cover.
So it was really aimed at girls.
Yeah, there were two versions. There was a girl version and a boy version. I think my brother got the boy version a few years later.
Interesting.
Actually, that was, I guess, an important book as well, because it's like the book that first told me that gay people existed. And it was like a one-sentence thing, and on one page it was like, sometimes girls are attracted to girls, and like, I guess that's cool too, but we'll never mention this again for the rest of the book. But
yeah, I love that. that it's interesting hearing where people learn that just like brand new fact. Like I think about that a lot, like in a lot of the puberty books that people have growing up. Like, do they mention gay people at all? Most of them don't, or it's one sentence, but that's really interesting. So did that what do you remember thinking about that sentence?
It was like an immediate eye-opener to me, actually. Yeah, no, as soon as I read that, like, a lot of things started to make sense, and like a lot of the feelings I had had about some of my close friends. It was still confusing for a while, because I guess the way the sentence was phrased, or at least the way I interpreted it, was like one or the other, like you're attracted to boys or girls. And so it was like, you know, very focused on that binary, and so I didn't, you know, figure everything out right away, but, you know, definitely it was like a very immediate reaction. Like, from talking to a lot of other people, I have a lot of friends who like had these very slow realizations that they might not be straight, but for me, as soon as I found out it was possible, I was like, yeah, that's me.
Wow. So that happened really early for you.
Yeah, I think it was 9 when that happened.
The other queer experience most discussed in my interviews, but also in our culture, is the coming out story. I got lots of different types of coming out stories just from a handful of interviews. Some people had great support systems, others didn't. When they were talking about, like, so gay people exist, like, did you recognize yourself in that, or when did you realize that about yourself?
I never realized I was that, like, that I was any different from other kids, because my mother herself, she's bisexual, so my parents are pretty, how do you say it, hippie-like in their sexual beings, and they also sometimes, like, I was raised until I was 2 years old by my mother, my father, and my mother's girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
So we were always, like, just very open about it, about nudity, about sex, about everything that I had questions about. So my mother tells me that she knew that since I was 5 that I wasn't straight. But I think I realized it myself when I was about 11 or 12, maybe. I came out at 14 to my family at 13. And my mother was like, oh, we already knew, girl. What are you whining about? Something like that. So just about that, I realized about 11 or 12 that I thought girls in TV shows were hotter than guys, and that I didn't understand why this girl got so fed up because this guy doesn't like her. Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah. So your mom was like, yeah, I already knew.
Yeah, it was no, not horrible. It was a great experience. I came downstairs bawling my eyes out, like, Mom, I want to tell you something. And she put the TV on mute. And she looked at me like, what's up? Are you sick? Or is there something wrong? I said, no, I'm gay. And she said, oh yeah, I knew. Click.
I could have told you that.
Yeah.
The first person Jamie came out to in real life was supportive in a different way.
And she went to school with me. And after my 13th birthday party, she came back for a sleepover. And so it was kind of like a middle of the night sharing secrets. I've been awake way too long and eaten a lot of sugar kind of thing. So I told her. And she was nice about it. She was supportive for the whole time. At first, she did this thing a few times where she was like, I'm going to figure out if you're gay or straight. And so she played this game where she would bring in, like, a magazine, like a Cosmo Girl or something, and she would point at pictures of girls and pictures of guys and be like, which one's hotter? And then, like, after she had done this a few times, she was like, I figured it out. You're right, you are bisexual. And so I guess, like, you know, I helped her by opening her eyes to more things, and she was like the one person I had at that school who knew and was supportive and nice about it. So It's good to have that.
So, this is the last episode of this mini-series, and I've truly enjoyed making it and connecting to people over such an intimate topic, so I hope to gather more first orgasm stories and produce more episodes of this podcast. So this is a call for stories. Do you remember your first orgasm? Send me your story. It could be a voice message or an email or, I don't know, whatever piece of art you want to send me. You can email me at jhresearchpodcast@gmail.com.
People have very strong feelings about that.
It's a very, like, not special moment, but nobody ever talks about it. Like,
Exactly, yeah. It's unlike, like, maybe your first period. Like, that's a moment that most people would remember really clearly, and it's embarrassing sometimes, but it's not like you can talk about it. It's discussed, and this is not
No.
in a very different way from like losing your virginity or something like that. That's another thing that might be discussed, even if it's a little embarrassing. But like this feels like there's a lot of shame connected when you haven't had an orgasm, and there's a lot of shame when you have, like, it's just it's a heavy topic, and it's really interesting to hear stories about it.
This has been Cumming of Age. I'm Josie Herbert. Our original music is by Timothy Fox, and you can find his music at timothyfox.bandcamp.com. Thank you to all the people I interviewed for your stories, patience, time, and general fabulousness. Thank you also to Mariah Janssen, Lindsay Van Cleef, Jana Byers, Caleb Smiley, and Timothy Fox.
But no, we have a lot of, like, you have vrije, which is called, vrije. It's untranslatable, but it's love making. But vrije, the word itself doesn't mean anything except for, like, lovely sensual sex.
Okay.
Neuken is like what you do in porn.
Yeah.
Ja, beffen, pijpen en alle andere gekke dingen. Beffen, pijpen en alle andere gekke dingen.